A new season for new art, new creativity, new laughs, new stories, and of course, the Media Prince. I welcome you. Conversations with the Media Prince.
Nike Boy.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? We are back with another episode of Conversations with the Media Prince. Today I have this epic guy right here, Tony Lewis Jr. But I want to read you an introduction as if you are getting that overall, I'm going to say an Oscar award for you narrating a dope documentary. And you are receiving your Oscar. And this is how I'm going to introduce you, okay?
All right.
Innovator, advocator, author, curator, philanthropist, cultivator, community leader, activist, champion, a change maker, a serial entrepreneur, a legend, and a hometown hero. The one, the only, Tony Lewis Jr. Hey.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I gotta write that down. I appreciate that. I gotta use that. Thank you.
I think
it's
somebody from the city that has watched your movement. You get what I'm saying? It's inspiring. So I love that I get to have these conversations with you guys because this is my chance to not only pull in your brain as a fan, but to give you your well-deserved flowers. And what you're doing and the lives you are changing, it is magnificent. It's God's send, and you're a chosen one. So being as you've done so much and you've helped so many lives, let's take it back, way back to when was the first moment where Tony Lewis Jr. felt compelled to not only make change, but to do something about it?
Wow, that's a heavy question because, and the reason I say that, I found myself, throughout my life being somebody who had influence, right? Like some people do, right? And but I think it becomes a point of like what you choose to do with that influence, And growing up in a neighborhood like I grew up in, it was always conflict happening. And me having, again, influence, buy-in, connectivity to the point where I could bring resolution to conflict. I found myself doing that, just sort of like in my friend circle and in my peer circle and even, above my peer circle, right? Sometimes. When I was about 20, I got a job. I got offered a job doing peer-to-peer like violence intervention. And I think that was really the first time where I realized that my influence could go beyond my personal relationships, if that makes sense, and in doing that job as a junior Roman leader, that job and that activity really saved my life. I think it introduced me to my purpose, and I've never looked back since. And that was 22 years ago. So I would say in the year 2000, being a junior Roman leader, being tasked with mediating disputes and helping young people redirect negative energy into positive outcomes, is when I bumped into my purpose.
Hey. And I think something too that's just applaudable is there's discipline in that. Because someone that does have influence and does have impact, when you have it, it could kind of be a toss or turn on how you use it, especially if we're from DC area, influence can hype somebody up to do dumb stuff versus the positive stuff that they should be doing. And so there are a lot of Tony Lewis Jr.'s that are at that crossroad of gaining that discipline to walk in their light versus their darkness. What advice would you say? Well, what would you say helped you with your discipline? And then what advice would you say for somebody that is, battling that discipline?
Yeah, first of all, I appreciate you recognizing that, because I think that goes over a lot of people's heads, right? And for somebody like me who could have did what I wanted to do in the street, and I ain't always make the right choices, right? But understanding that, see, for me, I didn't have any curiosity about the street, and I wasn't miffed about what came along with the street. Having a father who was doing life without the possibility of parole, growing up how we did, losing so many friends to gun violence and in the prison, I knew what my fate would be, and I almost, I teetered on that line a long time. But I had decided that I didn't want that for me. And for anybody that's teetering on that line right now, you got to understand that, you spoke about discipline and strength. Only a strong man can really bring forth and maintain peace, right? It's not a sign of weakness to do the right thing. Actually, doing the right thing is the hard part. And I would encourage, anybody that's right there on the cusp of that, to find the courage to do the right thing, understanding that the long-term ramifications, your legacy, will really be eternal if you're able to bring solace, you're able to bring peace, when you're able to help others. That's the real gift. You know what I mean? And so to the way you frame that question, that's what God gave you that influence for. Right? Not to bring forth for further destruction. And again, this isn't easy. A lot of times we don't have enough models for that. I know I didn't really have any, but I feel like, if I could be of example in any regard, that it is possible. And there's great things that can come along from making that tough choice. You know what I mean? And it get easier as it goes, but it's definitely not the easiest thing to do initially, but it gets easier.
Okay. I like that you said that it's not easy, because we're in a world where they feel like since we got the phone, we could just make change. Now, of course, visibility is a great help. I never knocked that. But I always say there's a divine line between the typer and the doer. Yeah. So with this, though, it's like you said, it's not for the weak. When do you remember that moment where you had that out of body experience that you knew you were built for this?
Man, well, let me say it this way. I remember two young men got into a dispute, two friends, like youngers that I was working with, mentoring, and I got a call that one of them shot the other, right? One of them shot the other one in his chest, and thank God the youngin survived. But I quickly was able to bring them together, right? I was able to bring them together, and bringing them together, that on my word, they came together, right? It said something to me. It spoke to that, the trust and the buy-in that I had developed with these young men, that they would believe in me enough to at least entertain making amends with each other after one had made an attempt on the other one's life, right? And when I was able to do that, it was like a seismic shift in me, because I could no longer turn away from what, I had semblance of that prior, right? In my own hood, in situations that was coming up, but I kept sort of ignoring that I could have impact on that level. I was kind of running from it. But once I was able to do that, then it was like no turning back, right? But why that was so hard for me was it was other things that was going on in my life. A lot of my norms was the antithesis of sort of this like peacemaker, right? Just because I didn't come from that. And so I knew that I would have to, speaking of discipline, but it was things that I had to stop doing to really fully embrace who I was becoming. And that was the most challenging part for me. But like that moment was one where I knew, like, this was sort of in some ways like what I was called to do.
Okay. And what you've been called to do, you've done it in such a triumphant way. Like, it's helped so many Americans, like nationally. You have been able to really change lives. And I wanted to ask with that, because no one ever explains that process of once you have the community versus once you have the country. So your message has transcended the community, and it's now, you've been seen nationally. You've been on CNN, BT, various Viacom networks. Your message has now anchored to the masses. How does that shift now your narrative? Because now you have even more people to account for.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that's allowed that is like me understanding that, my experiences, you know, um, is shared. It's a shared experience, right? And sometimes people don't have a platform or can't find the words to really express some of these nuances. Rather having an incarcerated parent growing up in an impoverished community, where you see gun violence and drug addiction, all of those things. But also like being able to become a servant and being able to help people navigate through these perils and these challenges. And understand it's not just happening in DC, but like authentically talking about my experience here. And then you have people in Oakland and LA and New York and Philly and Atlanta, Chicago, wherever, say, well, that I understand that. I've been through that as well. So just finding ways to continue to like speak about, my work and the challenges of people going to prison and reentry and all of the things that falls into my wheelhouse, but talking about it more in a broader context, talking about it in a sense where it's not just going on in Washington, but speaking specifically of some of the uniqueness of the DC experience, which we have a very unique criminal justice experience. Only place in America outside of an Indian reservation where you do a local crime and do your time in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. We're not a state. So only place where, you don't have a halfway house here. It's a lot of very unique characteristics of Washington, D.C. But speaking with, this authority on these experiences, and the reality of it is, man, like, we've also done more about these issues than anywhere in America. But so many times we get overseen, right? People come here to go on the Hill, and they don't stop in and check in with us for us to explain, we a place where our residents that are incarcerated can vote. We're a place where people don't lose their right to vote as a returning citizen. We've given more money to gun violence intervention and prevention than anywhere in the country. All these sort of like unique things that we're doing here that other people can learn from. And so it's not about sharing it to say, hey, look at us, like to brag, but more to say, hey, look at us. We got some information that we can share that you can take back to your local community to grow your budgets, to be more impactful. So that's how I've sort of framed my ability to like speak more broadly past the District of Columbia or the DMV, and know that we have some special and very unique things happening here. Things that not only I haven't been responsible for them solely. Like, it's been a lot of coalition building. It's been a lot of camaraderie and collaboration between my peers, that we've been able to build an ecosystem that helps our people.
I like that. And you just mentioned collaboration and camaraderie. A lot of the things that you are doing has definitely mended a lot of father-son relationships. I don't know if you reflected on that, but of course we know, the impact of your father's sentence and your work in the streets really to, get his sentence changed and really bring in that dynamic of getting my dad out and doing it in the correct manner. In that, you have awoken a lot of sons everywhere that are now walking in your light now, to not only mend their relationship, but now to fight to get them home so that they can really foster on their relationship. I know that's not something that was ever a goal, but how does it feel to know that you are helping mend a lot of father-son relationships that are not only home, but those that are estranged through the prison system?
Yeah, it feels really good. The whole idea of family reunification, like post incarceration, is something that it's not easy. And then all my years of, my primary work has been in reentry, right? So helping men and women stabilize when they return. And part of that stabilization is the family. And I've seen the impacts that incarceration has had. It really erodes the most sacred bonds. And so people think people return from prison and they just come home and everything get right back to where it was. And it's like, no, that's not a reality. So to know that I've been able to have, encourage people to have a tough conversation is one, right? About what this experience has done, right? How it's impacted them. but also to give them the desire and the motivation to work through that, right? And to come together and understand the importance of holding on to those bonds. I mean, I've had endless conversations with men, sons and daughters, that say, you made me reach out to my dad or write a letter or go visit, but also people that's come home and said, Tony, you made me go and apologize to my child for what they went through, whether it was my intention or not, to acknowledge the pain and the trauma that my child or my children have experienced based on my incarceration. And from that, they've been able to build fruitful relationships. And for me, that's like, one of the greatest accomplishments, man. And I'm super grateful. And I look forward to getting the opportunity to reunify with my father in freedom and be able to build further our relationship. Because after, obviously 33 going on 34 years of incarceration, there's going to be some gaps, right? Like, as much as we long for freedom, there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done, once he returns, you know what I'm saying? To grow our relationship, to learn each other, even though we're really tight, but it's just so much about me that he doesn't know, and so much about him that I don't know, just because we've been apart for this elongated period of time.
I got you. Now, with this and all that you've been able to accomplish and all that you've been able to do, what do you think thus far from your learning, what has been your 3 keys to success?
Whoa. One, continuously learning, right? So
get a pen, y'all, get a pen.
Continuously learning, which is, it kind of in the same context, like broaden your horizons, right? Staying authentically you while doing that, right? Staying authentic while growing, because the two aren't mutually exclusive, right? And then number 3, I would say, never stop dreaming. To me, that's like, and that ain't in no order, but I feel like sometimes, people, we set goals and then we accomplish them, right? And then you like stop. Like, I'm a forever dreamer. I'm always looking to do something different, and not needing somebody to pat me on the back or tell me that they think is a good idea, because the reality of it is, sometimes, like, when you have vision, you may be the only person that see it, right? And that's sort of been like the story of my life. Like, I wouldn't be where I am without that ability to dream and to continuously dream, even when people look at you like what you're sharing with them is crazy, like it's insane, or how that's gonna happen, or they tried it and it didn't work, so that means you shouldn't try it. Like, I've never subscribed to that. So yeah, those would be my 3 keys to like being successful. Dreaming, always learning, and remaining authentic and true to yourself.
Hey. So as the dreamer whose dreams has now been seen by others, what does Tony Lewis Jr. today say to that guy who was able to de-escalate the situation between his friends back in the day and realize he was the light and the source? What do you say to that guy?
Little homie, some things that you may want to change, or you may want to get better, it may not, but you have to. I mean, like, particularly like with my parents, like my mom, still was battling, schizophrenia, severe mental health then, and that has remained. My father was doing life without parole then, and that has remained. As just 2 examples of some of the challenges that I've had to continue to grow and live on, even with that going on. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but I had to consistently get better, and those 2 realities that started for me almost 34 years ago with the two people that are the most important to me, had that their situations haven't really changed, but I've had to, and that's what I would tell him, and in the belief that, you can make it from around Hanover, like you can make it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can have a different fate than everybody around you, and Lord knows I just, when I was a younger dude, I never looked to the future in general though. You know what I'm saying? I never thought about life like that. I didn't have that luxury, and that's not hyperbole. Like it really was like how we grew up, how my mindset was. We're trying to get through the next minute. So I couldn't look forward. You know what I'm saying? And I thank God for the ability to like pivot and to have resilience and just to, persevere in spite of incredible traumas. But like now it's like, as who I am now and having the ability to at least consider what I could be doing next year or 5 years from now. That was something that I never thought about. You know what I mean? That's a blessing though. That really is. I'm still the worst planner in the world. But again, I'm still every day I'm getting better. I'm growing. I'm inspired, right, about people around me. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even about like I'm inspired by all. So I grow, I learn from everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm constantly trying to improve and get better. And I'm in a safer space to do that now. And I'm a husband and I'm a father. And so I have even more incentive to look at life like that,
Yeah. And I'm glad you just said you're not a great planner, because that just helped me out, because brother, I am not myself. And there's probably a lot of the viewers watching this that are like, whoo, thank you. I ain't alone on this. But what's so dynamic about your story, and just even learning about your mom, the fact that you were able to win when you could have been a statistic is fucking marvelous. You get what I'm saying? And that's something not to ever go over. That is something very powerful as a Black man to hear from another Black man that chose the best versus being a statistic of and that's a strength also to commend you on with, because a lot of people fall short. That situation doesn't end too good for a lot of people. So the fact that you turn it around gives, in addition to what you already give to the community, this also helps give hope. Because now, like you said, the dreamer, you can now let the other dreamers feel safe that their dream can happen because you can make it happen. So I just want to make sure I commended you on that, because that's something not to just go over. That's something to like, that's something epic, man. In my words, my favorite word is epic. So all that you're doing and all that you will continue to do, how do you ask the form of what is next for Tony Lewis Jr.?
Hey, listen. I mean, for me, bro, I hope, you know what I'm saying, obviously free Tony Lewis. That's like, number one on my priority list, that I'll be able to, get my dad out of prison. I look forward to actually having Slug, my memoir, turned into either a TV series or a movie.
Both? I'm playing both?
Yeah, I appreciate that, right? And I think I can't see why not. I think it'll be incredible. And then the last thing I think, well, not last, but I'll say this, to be able to help in an effort to ensure that when DC residents who have been just as involved, when they pay their debt to society, that they'll be able to come home to a clean slate, and we can create legislation that allow for them to be able to work where they want to work, live where they want to live, as long as they qualify, not be penalized or discriminated against based on their past transgressions. That we really got to give people an opportunity from a public safety lens, from a family, a familial lens, from a community lens, the opportunity to get it right. And as long as we keep, they've already bartered, they've already paid the consequence for. I feel like it's not the type of Washington that I want. You know what I'm saying? I want a Washington where we foster a sense of inclusion, a culture of redemption. And I feel like if we do that, we'll have safer, thriving communities, particularly for us. You know what I mean? With Black people, we make up 95% of those that are justice involved, and it has a disproportionate impact on our families. So,
Facts.
Yeah, I hope that's what's next for me, bro.
Hey, so one thing I want to also mention, because mental awareness and mental health is a real thing. With so much going on, what is your self-care routine? What inspires you and keeps you going? Because you take on so many different energies. How do you get to unleash?
Yeah, man. Like, working out, doing the things I enjoy, which is, spending time with my wife and my children, my family. And this is so adverse to working out, but eating out, going out to eat, what I'm saying? It's a little too much, but you know what I'm saying? But like really going and having fun experiences, that brings a certain balance to my life, being able to sneak in a massage every now and again, you know what I mean? But like really enjoying life, man, because like you said, I work in life and death, man. The work I do every day is so heavy. People, and it's like my direct traumas, but also like vicarious trauma. I work in trauma, and that can be overwhelming, honestly. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of my self-care and being intentional about it though, right? Like not doing these things on accident, but like understanding the need. In order for me to keep going, I gotta replenish. You know what I'm saying? I've also learned as part of my self-care strategy, say no sometimes. I mean, that was real hard for me. Yeah, man. I had to learn how to say no, man. I can't make it. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't, and being all right with that. You feel me?
I feel you. So before I let you go, I want to finally play this game for you because I know you're a hip hop head. So I got this game. It's called Either Or. So I give you hip hop legends. The person you say stays. The person you don't say never existed, never made music ever. You think you can handle this? I'm gonna give you three. I'm gonna give you three passes to pass. That's it though. All right.
First one. Cool. Let's do it.
First one. Tupac or Biggie? And remember, the person you say stays.
I gotta go Biggie.
Okay, Biggie stays. Jay-Z or Nas?
Oh man, Jay-Z.
Okay, Jay-Z stays. Eminem or J. Cole?
Neither one of those are easy. Let me just say that, right? Let me just be clear. But yeah, J. Cole or Eminem. I'm gonna go Cole. I'm gonna go Cole.
Okay, Cole stays. Okay. Drake or Kendrick Lamar?
Oh man. This is what I like, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's tough, man. That's a tough one. That's tough, bro.
Remember, you got three passes.
Oh, I can. Okay, let's pass. I'm passing on that one.
You gonna pass on that one?
I can't. So that's like a tie. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that one.
Okay. LL Cool J or Ice Cube?
Oh damn. Oh man. Oh. I'm gonna pass on that one too. I'm gonna pass on that one. I got one more pass. I'm gonna pass on that one too. I'm sure they will come back, right? So I'm gonna pass on that one. All right. Yeah.
No, that means you could just date down. You don't got to choose between them.
Okay, cool.
But you only got one more pass.
Mm-hmm.
All right, T.I. or Ludacris?
Oh, Tip. We're going T.I.
Okay, T.I. stays. 2 Chainz or Future?
Future.
Future stays. Okay. Lil Wayne or Kanye West?
Wayne.
Wayne stays. Okay, one more for the fellas. Andre 3000 or Common?
I'm going 3 stacks.
3 stacks stays. Okay. Let's move on to the ladies. Nicki Minaj or Remy Ma?
Oh man. I'm going Nicki.
Okay.
I'm going Nicki. I love Remy, but I'm going Nicki. Remy ain't got enough material. I'm going Nicki.
Okay. Little Kim or Trina?
Kim.
Okay. Eve or Foxy Brown?
I'm God. My wife. I'm going Eve. I'm going Eve because I feel like Eve wrote more stuff. I'm going Eve.
Okay.
I love Foxy though. I'm going Eve. Yeah.
Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B?
For the same reason, I'm going Meg.
Okay. Let's do Doja Cat or Lotto.
I gotta do Doja. My daughters love Doja Cat. I'm going Doja Cat for sure.
Okay, let's do one more. Missy Elliott or Left Eye?
Oh man, I'm going Missy. I gotta go Missy though. Gotta go Missy.
Hey, you did good.
Left Eye more in the group. All right, cool.
Hey,
cool.
You did good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the one, the only, Tony Lewis Jr. Please let them know where they can follow you at, where they can find you at, and how they can join your movement.
Mr. Tony Lewis Jr. Mr. Tony Lewis Jr. That's on Instagram, Twitter. You know what I mean? Facebook too, Tony Lewis Jr. www.tonylewisjr.com or freetonylewis.com. And and I'm in your neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? I ain't hard to find, I'm in the streets like the yellow lines, man,
Hey, and I like to end it off with everyone. What's one motto that you live by?
DC or nothing.
Hey.
A whole lot to that.
Hey. And we out.
Yes, sir. Peace and love, man. Appreciate it.
Nike boy.